What's up everyone, welcome back to a new video on the Alien Algo channel. It will be the daily market outlook, so without more having said, let's get right into it. For today, of course, the stock market is closed, so I will not be looking at the general markets, but without more having said, let's get straight into Bitcoin. We'll simply start at the daily. I'm still looking at the same scenario where we try to reclaim this previous weekly open. As you can see, I've added something else to the chart right now, which are a triple VWAP, where we draw one point right here, a second point right here, and a third point right here, giving us this wave that previously has been respected quite nicely. Here you see a little anomaly, but when we go onto the daily, you see it closed right below, and we simply respected this thus far. This currently is correlating with that key area we are still looking at, which is that weekly open from right here, which became our previous support for that bounce, and we went around here, broke below it, retested it, and we retested it multiple times, breaking down from here, giving that sweep. So I still expect this to be a major resistance, and I am not bullish until this gets flipped. So unless something like this happens for the short term, I still expect some sort of higher low, whether it should be right here or whether it will be a retest of this zone before we go away is the current question, which I think will be more clear when we are back on Monday. Since this is simply the weekend, we can still expect lower volatility than normal, and as you can see, this still is going pretty straight up. So when we are looking at that 50-minute chart, I think most of you already see it. These 2 points right here, which with here having this little wick, we are trying to form some sort of sweep. So if we want some more upside for the short term, we simply need to reclaim this, because otherwise this is a clear rejection, which allows us to get into these wicks or even these wicks right here. So I'll simply remove them to make it a little more clear. So when we look at a 50 minutes, this really is your crucial level to reclaim for the lower time frame right there. And I hope you guys see it by now. There is one more point which is crucial. I'll make it the color orange so we simply can identify it a little bit easier, with these points of course being on the little higher time frames. Go onto the 30 minutes, you can see it's quite clearly that major resistance right here. And on that 15 minutes, we simply have these lows, which currently acted as a small time frame range. As we again can see, it's also correlating with previous price points. So when we simply map out this, it shows that scenario that if we don't manage to break above this, we simply have an accumulation with a manipulation move, giving us the possible downside. So for this, we want to see either the 0.5 level hold, which if I get it from the top of my head right now should be around here. I'll quickly show you guys a way how you can get it. Of course, to be a little more precise, you get the top of that range, you get the bottom of that range, and then you get that 0.5 level. So I will put a little line there, right here. I'll give it a different color, so can know this is the 0.5 level. So for now, I would like to see either this hold and reclaim this, and otherwise I'm simply expecting a deeper pullback. So when we look at a 1 hour, it still looks kind of clean, with this being a possible break and retest, but with this lower time frame range, I am not majorly bullish, so I have to be a little on the conservative side right here. As you can see, that VWAP is also setting up here on that lower time frame, which that actually is not correct because it should be higher. Yeah, it's still sitting right here. So we have this micro range and we have this higher time frame level to break through, and otherwise I simply expect it to either retest the lows, with a bullish scenario being we sweep this and we reclaim it and we go up. So we simply have to watch the triggers. I'll turn this into the color red for now, and the moment we sweep it, we turn it to the color black, if we sweep it, of course. So for BTC, I would say watch this micro range and watch these higher time frame levels to be flipped. To get the trigger on the upside, watch the 30-minute and watch the 4 hour. So let's get onto ETH. ETH is still looking a little bit better in my opinion, even though on the current move, BTC showed some more relative strength, as you can see, with ETH still sitting at this point. And if I keep the cursor at the same point and we go on to BTC, simply see this is this candle right here, which we already have reclaimed on Bitcoin. So thus far, BTC has shown more strength on this move back up. So when we turn back the drawings, you simply see the range low thus far has been held. And when we look at that 1 hour, we simply see we are forming some sort of triangle. Whether it will break up or break down, we of course don't know thus far. Where this should be your breaking point towards that upside. And we have this downwards move, but this is not a proper trend line, as you can see, where it violates this point. So this is not a proper triangle. So we are only going to be watching this upside. So let's look at that 50-minute. How the 50-minute is acting to it. See, it's that bottom side of the body, which we already rejected once, twice, and even 3 times. So this is looking quite similar to Bitcoin, as price within Bitcoin and ETH usually correlate. We also would want to see this break above and retest it, or break above with volume, not allowing the proper retest, perhaps retesting this little point. So for ETH, it's quite similar to Bitcoin. The only thing with ETH right now, we don't have a major clear support nearby. With, if you would be looking at a support, it should be around here. So right here, this is currently your little compression part. So for ETH, we either want to see this hold or this break right here. So of course, if one breaks down, you would like to look either for some shorts, or you would like to wait to get that deeper pullback to open some longs, depending on, of course, your execution style. So when we look at the daily for ETH, I'm still bullish. It still simply looks quite good. The only thing, and I don't think it is very likely to be honest, but it's a scenario which we should of course be prepared for in the case that it gets given, is where it just rejects from this 0.5 level and we get a fake breakdown, perhaps even this deep into either these highs with this previous price action, which would be around that 2300 to 2100 in the case of us not holding this level right here. The magnet is annoying me again, with this being that level to hold if we get back below this level. Because we simply know how these ranges work. You want this 0.5 level to be broken to look at the upside. And when you reject from it, there's a big chance of retrieving back towards those range lows. So, unless we, of course, break from this and we manage to reclaim that 0.5 level, we have to be a little bit on the conservative side. The major bullish thing, which I am still bullish on ETH on the longer term, is simply that funds are still buying massively. So, when I say the funds are still buying massively, JP Morgan is of course screaming that Ethereum is a shit asset and that you should never buy it. But this is exactly what he did with Bitcoin previously while he was becoming the biggest shareholder of the mining companies in the meantime. And for BlackRock, they of course have to clarify what they buy and their wallets are being traced. So the only way they can buy without us knowing is buying OTC, meaning over the counter, which is they give money to someone who already has Ethereum. So there is no blockchain transaction immediately where they need to buy it from an exchange, which could of course be very likely, but they already have bought a shitload today again. If you guys want me to add the on-chain data to these transactions, make sure to let me know in the comments down below. But for now, I'll simply just state what is happening, and we simply are inside this little compression with this resistance that we would like to break to go back towards those 0.5 levels. When we are going to look at some altcoins, they still look a little bit slapped, to be honest. Here on virtual, we got that little deviation I was talking about where we retested this and it moved back up. We simply seem to be holding it thus far. You look at the 4 hour, it looks even cleaner, which this almost looks like a matrix, how it looks very similar. So for virtual, I would like to see this hold. For banana, I want to see this hold and it getting some impulse move back towards those range lows. Because if we simply look at it like this, it does not look that great. For height, I have this also happened on Bitcoin itself, so this probably was a little glitch on Max itself. If I go to Hype USD, quite sure this does not pop up like this. If we go on to Binance, let's now go on to Binance, that's a shit chart. Let's take Bybit instead. Yeah, okay, so this was just a little glitch on Max their side. So we simply see this is still around that 0.5 level when we look at it on the 1 day. Let's take the 4 hour to be a little more detailed. Right here, we simply see breaking back below, retesting it, and we still are consolidating below it. So we do want to see it breaking above this right here. For TIA, I of course stated before, I did not want to buy this low right here because I simply don't see any major strength thus far. Now that we have made this little point right here, and we have this wick right here on the top side, I do see a little possibility, but I simply will not take it for now at least, unless price action has a major change, with this being that previous low, which we seem to be rejecting twice. So if we manage to reclaim this, it could gain back some traction, where we could see something like this. And of course, with the staircase logic, which is why I draw it like here, we want to look at those previous steps of the staircase, with this being the previous step, where we look at the low and we look at the high. So this would be your next point. So I would simply want to see it do something like this, where we manage to get back above these blue lines in key levels. So let's just keep this on the chart for now. Let's go on to Ondo, one of my favorite RWA projects. On the daily, it simply seems to have been forming that deviation. On the weekly, of course, this still looks quite good, where now I see that this trend line on the weekly is definitely not correct. So let me correct it right here. Now you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is more valid. And we still are holding this on the weekly. So when we look at the daily, it simply still needs to close back above. And for Pendle, with Pendle being the stronger one of the two as of now, this still looks quite good, to be honest. It hasn't even broken any lows, so Pendle still looks quite strong if you're looking for some sort of intraday trade. This does not look that bad, to be honest, when you're talking about... Let me get it again here. If you simply measure that short-term upside to that previous high, with a stop, it's barely a 2R, which this could be a little more on the safe side with the stop. When we look at a 4-hour, let's just put it on where the price is right now. Yeah, I wouldn't want to be taking this trade, but it could be a little bit of a safer trade. But I would like the RR to be a little higher than this. So for ETH BTC, I stated this before also in the Discord of Vector Prime. This will be my key trigger for ETH. So as you guys know, I was building a swing position. I didn't see any major strength on this right here, so I closed my position partially. When it went a little lower, I fully closed that position and I started building it back a little less aggressive. And if ETH BTC manages to reclaim this blue box, I will aggressively be adding to that position. With this, of course, being a swing, so lower leverage, wanting to play that bigger move towards that upside, if given, of course. As you know, every idea can be invalidated, but these are simply the scenarios I will be watching for now. When we look at the total free, we see this just simply was a break retest, not being that great, but for the total, this still seems quite strong. So, with all that being said, I'd like to say thank you for watching again, and if you want me to add something into this or you have any feedback, always make sure to let me know in the comments, and simply keep trading, guys. Have a very nice day.